Hey everybody, welcome back to Fixed Setup Weekly. For week number 4, we've got ARCA at USA International. We got C Fixed on the dirt at Knoxville. B Fixed and A Fixed are both at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So a good mix of a little bit of everything. Short track racing, dirt racing, and your standard 1.5 mile oval racing as well. So how did last week go for you at Road America? If you took on the challenge of that 4-mile road course, did you have fun? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you find any success? Tell me down in the comments section below. I can't wait to hear about your adventures. I didn't take it on myself. I did a little bit of C Fixed at Chicagoland. I thought that was really, really fun. ARCA in Nashville, I only ran one of those, and it was kind of a bloodbath, but still fun. And I was glad to see some positive reception. A lot of people really seemed to like C Fixed last week. So if you liked it last week, you may not like it this week being on dirt, but it is a fun challenge. I've driven it. I like it, but I do like trucks on dirt normally. So if that's not something you're into, don't worry. Plenty of other options to dive into this week, and we're going to take a look at all of them right now. A big thank you to my sponsor, Advanced GG, the best and only clinically proven supplement for esports and gaming. They're hooking my community up with a special 30% discount that's good through July 10th. Use code HOUSE30 at checkout to save big and get yourself some new flavors, restock on some of your favorites, pick up a new shaker or two, or even get some Advanced GG merch. Again, that's code HOUSE30 for 30% off through July 10th. Link with a discount code down in the pinned comment below. The ARCA Menard Series goes to USA International Raceway, a 3/4 mile high-banked oval located in Lakeland, Florida. This race is 50 laps in length, takes place at 9:25 p.m. You get your one normal fast repair and no extra sets of tires. My qualifying lap, I used a 14-to-1 steering ratio, put the brake bias up to 69%. Nice. My lap time was a 21.251. Do a qualifying lap here in the ARCA car at USA. This is a tricky lap to make. You really need to get that brake bias way up there. Your braking point for turn 1 is going to be this dashed line right before the caution light on the wall. Easy on those brakes. Get it right down to the bottom. Let it rotate off the brakes. Test the throttle, and as soon as it feels secure, hammer it down. And then you get to this opening in the backstretch wall before the caution light. Then is when you want to get back to the brakes again for turn 3. Again, ride the brakes all the way to the bottom. Get off the brakes. Let the car rotate. Test the throttle. Hammer it down out of 4 and complete the lap. Hot lapping and surviving 50 laps around here are two very different things. I kept the same wheel settings. I put the brake bias to 68%. Just do whatever feels most comfortable to you. After about 20 laps, my right rear was worn 2% more than my right front, and I think that's going to be the case for everybody. This car just lacks rear grip so much, and you're struggling to get to the throttle. You're fighting the steering wheel from the center of the corner to the exit. But if you're able to be smooth and disciplined with that throttle pedal, you're going to find a lot of success in the ARCA car. You really don't want to get up out of the groove per se. You want to keep it on the bottom, but if you float it in, let it ride up about a half a lane, and then point it back down to the bottom to drive straight off, that might be another good way to navigate if you're not in traffic. How you navigate traffic, how you set up your passes are going to be absolutely critical. You don't want to ride around the outside groove. People are going to slip and slide underneath of you, probably put you in the fence. You want to keep this thing on the bottom as much as you can. But to take care of those tires, back up those corner entries so you're not over driving. You're going to see a lot of people who don't adjust their brake bias, drive in too deep into these corners, and they're going to spin. I promise you're going to see a lot of that. Don't be that driver. Dial up the brake bias a little bit more, get into those corners easy, and then be easy on the throttle to get out of them. You'll save your tires, you're not going to spin out, you're going to be in really good shape. Taking a look at the lap times and the tire fall off, you can see there's just not that much fall off. It's actually less than I expected it to be. The lap times I was running at the start of the run versus the end of my run are fairly similar. Now, by the time you get to lap 30, 40, 50 of the run and the end of the race, I'm sure there's going to be significant fall off, but a lot of that is going to be dictated by how you treat your tires getting into the corner and getting out of the corner. Don't charge corner entry. That's not where you set up your passes. You're going to set up your passes on corner exit and down these straightaways. If you can get a better bite out of the corners, you're going to get better traction, be able to launch down these straightaways better, and set up the passes on the straightaway. Once you're to the inside of somebody, they have no choice but to yield and give you that inside lane. If they don't, you're going to wreck them, and that's not on you. C-Fix goes dirt track racing from the half-mile Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa. Revered as the sprint car capital of the world, this special little racetrack is going to host the NASCAR Truck Series as they go dirt racing for the second time this year. Remember, they went dirt racing back at Bristol, but that seems like it was so far away. A friendly reminder, if you jump into this combination this week, it is going to be based off of your dirt, oval, license, and I rating. So don't worry, if you don't have a good race, it's not going to affect your hard-earned asphalt oval I rating and safety rating. So go out there and have some fun slinging some mud. This race is 50 laps in length, takes place at 8:45 p.m. You're going to have 2 sets of tires to work with. Don't know why they give you 2. Tires really don't wear at this racetrack. My steering ratio for everything is 6-to-1. I don't touch anything else, but 6-to-1, the lowest it'll go. My lap time was a 22.561. With this being a little bit different of a week, I figured in lieu of providing tire data and lap times and all that stuff, I'll show you a little bit at the end of this. But I want to talk more about just how to do this style of racing in the truck at this racetrack. So let's start here. On the inside of the turns, you're going to see a raised hill. That's what we call the berm. You don't want to touch that. Don't race on there. That's a bad place to be. It will upset the balance of the truck. You're going to be really out of shape. You don't want to even think about putting your left front up there. You can get up to the berm, but you don't want to get up on the berm. So stay away from that. The next thing to notice, my inputs. Minimal throttle through the turns. 50%, 60% throttle through the turns is all you need. Why? Wheel spin. If you go 100% throttle, you are just doing nothing but spinning those rear tires and slowing yourself down, especially as the track wears. All these laps that I made started with a 0% track state, a fresh track. As you get into the race and more trucks drive around here, that track's going to get worn away. It's going to slick off, and you're going to lose grip. You'll see it even here on the start of the entry to these turns where it's starting to slick off as I continue to make laps. There's no grip there. You're going to see people move up the racetrack. I don't know if that's really the play. I still think the bottom is the best way around here. But it all comes down to how comfortable you are with your throttle pedal. The brakes, you don't need the brakes to get around here unless you're trying to avoid an accident. It all comes down to throttle control and wheel input. So just watch my throttle and my wheel here as I work these laps and see how I'm doing it. Hopefully that gave you a sense of the technique that I was using to keep that truck on the bottom, keep it rotated, and minimize that wheel spin. You can see, I'm trying to track my time against my all-time best, and, I'm usually running within a tenth or two. I kind of smack the wall there. I go way up the racetrack, and this really illustrates how slow a lap time's going to be if you start ripping the top versus just having some throttle discipline on the bottom. Again, like I said earlier, there's no tire wear. There's minimal tire wear. It's never zero, but it might as well be zero. So you don't have to worry about pitting for tires or anything like that. Tire wear is not going to impact this race one bit. Let's take a look at my lap times. You can see I did like a 10-lap run here. And, you know, you're going to have some fall off. But that, again, that's not because of tires. That's because the track is wearing out. And again, this is just one truck on this track. When you get a full field of trucks on this track, it's only going to wear out more and more and more, and you're just going to have to be more disciplined with that throttle to ride around on the bottom or search around the racetrack to pass people where they're not. It should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to do some C-Fix this week. And again, even if you're not really into dirt racing, there's no penalty for doing C-Fix this week because it doesn't impact your asphalt, oval, I rating, and safety rating. Jump in, try it once or twice, see how it goes. There's probably going to be contact and a lot of people beating and banging and spinning around. But if you can have some fun driving a vehicle with a ton of horsepower around a dirt track sliding around, I think it's worth it. A racetrack that filled the headlines because of a repave and reconfiguration coming soon. Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia is a 1.5-mile quad oval that plays host to B-Fixed and A-Fixed this week. Depending on which car you drive, you're going to have a very different experience. Iracing added a lot of grip, especially to the top lane of this racetrack, and it kind of changed the way that this track drives. But again, B-Fixed and A-Fixed are going to give you a very different experience depending on which one you get into. B-Fixed is a 45-lap race, takes place at 4 p.m. in sim, and you get 4 sets of tires. Because of how abrasive this racetrack is, it absolutely chews up tires. Now, for my hot lap, I went with a 14-to-1 steering ratio, left everything else the same because it is basically flat out. My lap time was a 31.214. For my race run, I kept everything the same except I dropped the brake bias down to 57%. You're going to want that later in the run. Looking at the tire wear, my right front was worn 4% more than the right rear, and even though that was the case, the car still lacked a lot of rear grip, so don't let those numbers fool you. A lot of that is just driving it into the corner maybe a little bit too hard or running the bottom too much. But don't let those numbers fool you. You will be struggling for rear grip. This car is going to be sliding all over the place, especially on corner exit when you get back to the throttle. I think 14-to-1 is fine. You might even want to try 12-to-1 to help catch this car. When you get these little slip-ups, you're going to want a quick steering ratio to help you catch it. Looking at the lap times and tire fall off, you can see from the start of the run to the end of the run is about a 1.5 seconds of fall off, which is significant but not surprising for Atlanta. This place is rough on tires. That's why they give you 4 sets. You're going to want to take tires if you get an opportunity. But that should demonstrate just how quickly the pace will fall off. And how do you survive 50 laps at Atlanta in this car? It's all about using the lanes correctly and using that throttle pedal correctly. The general rule of thumb that I'm going to give you for the B car this week and for the A car, the lower on the racetrack that you run, the worse off you're going to be. The worse your corner exits are going to be, the worse your straightaway speeds are going to be, and the worse your tire wear is going to be. Get comfortable running right up against the wall, especially in turns 1 and 2, and you're going to see a big difference in your overall performance. 1 and 2 has a lot more leeway. There's so much grip up towards the wall. That is going to be where you're going to want to run. You're going to be able to defend people trying to pass low really easily as well. This is the sort of combination that will test even the best of drivers. So if you do B-Fix this week, make sure you keep that in mind and try to have some fun. A-Fixed is also 50 laps in length and takes place at 4 p.m. in sim. Unlike B-Fixed, you only get 3 sets of tires to use for this race. For my hot lap, I used a 14-to-1 steering ratio, kept everything else default. This lap is fully flat out. The lap time was a 30.711. For my race run, I bumped the steering ratio up to 16-to-1, set the brake bias to 64%. If we take a look at the tire data, it's not good. This thing is a plow box. Right front tire worn 9% more than that right rear. And that was just by myself. That wasn't with the effects of dirty air. So I can only imagine how much worse it's going to be. That's why I recommend 16-to-1. Looking at the lap times and fall off, you can see it's fairly significant. Almost 2 seconds of fall off from start to finish over a 20-lap run. And again, that's just by myself without the effects of dirty air playing a factor. When you get into the pack and you're in dirty air, you're going to have even less front downforce. It's going to require more effort from your tires. It's not going to be pretty. If you're running NIS this week, just be prepared for that. You're going to want to try and get out from behind other cars, but to do that, you're probably going to have to go lower on the racetrack, and you're only going to be hurting your tires more. This is going to be about track position. If somebody pulls out low to pass you, let them try. If you run the wall in 1 and 2 and you run anywhere above that first seam in 3 and 4, they're probably not going to pass you. That would be my suggestion. Run as high as you can all the way around the racetrack. With the high downforce, low horsepower package, you have to keep your momentum up. With all the grip that they added to the top side of Atlanta Motor Speedway, the only place to do that is up top. And that'll do it for this episode of Fixed Setup Weekly. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if this video helped you out, help me out. Leave a thumbs up on the video, a comment down below, and share it out there with your friends and the rest of the sim racing community. Whether that's on Reddit, Twitter, or anywhere else you can post content. We want to get this information out there, and I need your help to do so. So again, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. If you're already subscribed to the channel, thank you for being a supporter. If you haven't yet subscribed, I hope today is the day that I earn that from you. If you want to stay up to date with everything going on in my world, you can follow me on Twitter, or you can check out my iRacing adventures when I stream them live over on my Twitch channel. Both of those are linked down in the description below, along with my community Discord. Come on by, say hello, get to know the rest of the community. We would love to see you there. And as always, thank you again for watching, and have a great week of racing.